Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening, everyone. There's been another tragedy at Targa Tasmania with a double fatality on the race's final day at Cygnet. We're joined live now by our reporter Ruby Kamain, who is near the scene. Good evening, Ruby. What do we know so far?
Louise, it's been confirmed 2 male drivers aged 58 and 69 have died after smashing into a tree here at Cygnet earlier today. Just before midday, the Porsche was racing along Wattle Grove Road when it lost control on the gravel and collided passenger side first with a tree. Both drivers sadly died at the scene. Pieces of the vehicle were left scattered on the road and over the adjoining paddock. Now, this incident means there has been 3 fatalities in the last 2 days in this year's Targa Tasmania. 68-year-old driver Shane Navin died yesterday after crashing his 1979 Mazda at the Mount Arrowsmith stage. His co-driver Glenn Evans sustained no injuries. Today, police said the future of the event is now up to other authorities.
The matter will be investigated by the coroner. And as to the continuation of the race, that's a matter for Targa and clearly the state government.
In a statement, Targa Australia CEO Mark Perry says it has been a devastating few days and, along with Premier Peter Gutwein, has shared condolences for the families. And it certainly is a tragedy, with 5 deaths now reported in Targa Tasmania's 29-year history.
All right, thank you for that, Ruby Kamain reporting there. Just very, very sad news. Tasmanians are set to go to the polls in just 1 week. The major parties have today focused their election campaigns on the state's police force, but the Greens are concerned the environment has been left off the agenda.
A sea of green, protesters gathering in Hobart with a clear message.
We're calling for people to green their vote, look after the forests and wildlife.
Concerned the environment has been left off the agenda during the election campaign.
1 week from today, Tasmanians will go to the polls to decide who forms the next government. Yet we have had no climate or environment policies from either the Liberal or Labor parties.
So over the course of the next week, of course, we'll be releasing policies on the environment.
Labor says it's already made commitments, including funding for an environment jobs workforce.
Who will be working to eradicate weeds, to tackle erosion, to deal with the impacts of climate change.
The major parties today outlining their strategies to enhance the state's police force.
Over the next 5 years, it will increase the police numbers by another 50.
We'll employ an additional 77 officers who will be based statewide.
Both promising to fund a new police station in St Helens, as well as upgrades to the Bridgewater station. Labor also focusing on New Norfolk.
We would make sure there is permanent policing here in New Norfolk.
It is disappointing because we were promised this by the Liberal government at the last election, and unfortunately that didn't prevail.
The area currently covered by officers from Bridgewater.
There's an extra 15 personnel here at Bridgewater covering the areas around Bridgewater.
The Liberal Party also providing $56 million to bolster mental health services if re-elected. Committing to trial a new program in the state's south, which would see specialist workers travel with police and ambulance officers to mental health-related 000 calls.
It's incredibly important. We're talking about people who are often emotionally distressed, not to mention the family and friends who are often with them as well.
It's all about ensuring that consumers of mental health can get the services that they need, that they deserve, in the right place and the right time.
4 weeks of election campaigning down, just 1 more to go. Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Agfest organisers are shaking their heads over a decision by Public Health to cap crowds to 10,000 people per day. The remaining tickets sold out in minutes this week, with the committee now calling for a rethink on capacity, saying it could affect the future viability of the event.
With just under 2 weeks until gates open, site preparations are in full swing.
We're really keen to welcome people back to the paddock.
But organisers have been left frustrated after attempts to increase capacity were refused.
Yeah, it's really disappointing to have Tasmanian Health deny our request for an increase to 15,000 per day. We really just want a fair go for all Tasmanians, so there's more opportunity here for for them to experience Agfest and the exhibitors, and we make a bigger contribution to the Tasmanian economy.
The committee, which had its COVID-safe plan approved earlier this month, says it's struggling to understand why many interstate outdoor events can have much larger crowds.
And you look at the Sydney Royal Easter Show as well, which had on average 66,000 people per day, and certainly in an area that is much smaller here than our 229-acre Quercus Park site.
The 4-day field event showcasing all things agriculture is sold out.
It was phenomenal, the response we received for tickets selling out. Within minutes, tickets sold out. There was over 5,000 people visit the website in the first 5 minutes to try and secure theirs. So there is great confidence within Tasmania that they really want to come to the event.
Agfest is an outdoor event. Arguably that makes it safer. The government's now allowed 100% capacity at other venues which are indoor venues. So there is a real question to answer from the government here about why Agfest is being treated like this.
We're there to support them. But we must follow public health advice. We understand the frustrations, but public health advice has kept Tasmanians safe.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmanian News.
Rehearsals have been underway for the AFL pre-game Anzac ceremony to be held in Launceston tomorrow. A bugler and the Royal Australian Navy Band will kick off the event at UTAS Stadium. Hawthorn will battle the Crows in the first premiership point game to be played in Tasmania since 2019. Almost 50 female sailors have competed in the inaugural Women's Keelboat Regatta in Hobart. The star-studded fleet included past world and national champions and even attracted the support of round-the-world sailor Jessica Watson.
We still don't have equal female participation in sailing. There's a great and I think growing number of girls taking an interest, but you know, the more events we have and the more support we have to get more girls in the water is just fantastic.
Never been in a regatta with this amount of women sailing all at the same time. I love the idea that no matter what age you are, we're all out here having a go.
It's hoped the event will encourage female participation in all aspects of the sport. To local footy now, where it was a battle of the Bombers. North Launceston thrashed Lauderdale with a massive 93-point win this afternoon.
The Northern Bombers' domination began early on, Zach Burt kicking the first goal for the away side. And the onslaught continued from there, with a strong performance from Tom Bennett, who booted 3 goals in the opening term of the game. North Launceston kicking 5 goals in the first quarter, setting them up for the rest of the match. The Northern Bombers defeating Lauderdale 127-34. In the NAB League, the girls' Tasmania Devils side has secured a home final next weekend, coming away with a strong 41-18-point win over the GWV Rebels in Melbourne today. In the NPL, Launceston City beat Riverside Olympic 3-2 last night. The Strikers and Warriors had a 2-2 draw, and Kingborough came out on top against Clarence. Meanwhile, the Women's Super League saw Olympia thrash Devonport City 7-2, while Launceston United beat Taroona 3-0. In the NBL 1, the men's Hobart Chargers held on to win against the Ballarat Miners 81-77 last night. In the women's, the Chargers lost by 1 point to the Ballarat Rush. And in the NBL, the Cairns Taipans scraped through with a 70-68-point victory over the New Zealand Breakers at the Silverdome last night. Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmanian News.
Tasmanian Mayor Stella Starr has secured a fairy tale result, the 4-year-old nailing her first mainland win, running first in race 8 at Caulfield.
Stella Starr is very brave. Let a length and a half to riddle me that missile mantra, and Stella Starr, well done, Bill Ryan.
Trainer Bill Ryan is now already setting his sights on a Group 1 win in spring.
Good evening. 17 degrees today in Hobart. Launceston had the state's top with 20, 17 in Burnie and 19 degrees in Devonport. Around Tasmania, 19 at Cressy and St Helens, 18 for Fingal and Campania, 17 degrees at Lowhead, Scottsdale, Smithton and also Wynyard, 15 for Grove and Sheffield with 10 degrees at Lyowini. On the charts, low-level clouds scattered about much of the state today, the sun breaking through at times more so about the northeastern regions. Further out, a cold, unstable cloud band extends across the state and the southeastern regions of the mainland. A low trough over northern Queensland produces cloud and thunderstorm activity, the remainder mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow the high remains near southern parts of South Australia. Low pressure troughs linger about the east and the west of the continent. West to southwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching 25 to 30 about the south and lower east. Seas up to 2 metres, rising higher in the south. There is a strong wind warning current for southern and eastern coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point. Onto the forecast, 17 with a few clouds for Hobart and Richmond tomorrow, 16 in showers at Ouse. Cloudy through the north, 18 in Launceston, 17 in Devonport, Deloraine 15 degrees, 17 in Burnie and Curry, showers and 15 for Strawn, with 19 degrees for St Helens, 18 at Swansea and 17 for Whitemark, cloudy throughout. Showers about the west and the far south on Monday, fine conditions elsewhere. Much the same again on Tuesday, those showers expected to lighten before they strengthen again and increase in the far south and the west on Wednesday, with a fine day for the remainder. Looking now at your major centres tomorrow, 27 and sunny in Perth, 20 degrees for Adelaide, 17 with showers in Melbourne, a frosty start for the dawn service in Canberra, 19 degrees, 22 in Sydney with sunny, 26 degrees in Brisbane. And at the moment it's 14 degrees in Hobart, 13 in Launceston and 12 in Devonport. That's all from me, Lou.
Lovely, thanks Sam, and that's all your news for this Saturday. Thanks for joining us. Have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.